So I guess you can pat yourselves on the back. Well done. Not only have you cooked up a stupid, unserious plan, you cooked up a stupid, unserious plan that will undermine any future legitimate attempts to use all our tools when it comes to contempt proceedings.
Gentleman, suspend. For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
To ask that the words be stricken.
Yes. Here. Take it down.
Massachusetts will be seated.
That was Democratic Congress member Jim McGovern calling out the latest Maga stunt, this one to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in inherent contempt and fine him $10,000 per day after they previously voted to hold Attorney General Garland in contempt and referred that to the Department of Justice, which was rejected. Now the MAGA Republicans want to try to issue personal fines, which there is no constitutional authority for, but that's what the MAGA Republicans were doing. And when you had Jim McGovern calling it out, the MAGA Republicans were striking his words and preventing him from speaking. That's what you saw right there. Next up, Democratic Congress member Dan Goldman. Here's what he had to say. Play the clip.
My friend from Georgia expounded upon the weaponization of the Department of Justice by President Biden. And it was interesting to me that she mentioned that the Department of Justice is apparently, under Joe Biden's direction, persecuting Catholics. Joe Biden is Catholic. So that's an interesting weaponization of the Department of Justice. You would think that if someone were going to weaponize the Department of Justice for political purposes, that he would intervene or interfere in a prosecution of his own son. But no, he didn't do that. In fact, the only people who intervened and interfered in that investigation were my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, who inappropriately and improperly intervened in an ongoing federal criminal case by urging a judge to reject a plea agreement in the Hunter Biden case.
Then next up, you have AOC, who introduces a resolution for the impeachment of Clarence Thomas for his unlawful conduct. Again, going on the offense here. Here, play the clip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to introduce articles of impeachment against Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Anthony Alito, Jr. Against Justice Thomas, the resolution includes 3 total articles: 1 count of failure to disclose financial income, gifts, reimbursements, property interest liabilities, and transactions, among other information, and 2 counts of refusal to recuse from matters concerning his spouse's legal and financial interests before the court. The second resolution includes the following impeachment articles against Justice Alito: 1 count of refusal to recuse from cases in which he had a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party before the court, and 1 count of failure to disclose financial incomes, gifts, reimbursements, property interests, among other information.
Back to Democratic Congress member Jim McGovern. He says, look, the hypocrisy right now from these MAGA Republicans on the other side, it's stunning. These are all people who have defied their own subpoenas. Merrick Garland has not defied any subpoena, and you're holding him in inherent contempt while you are all in violation of the law. Play this clip.
Sick. The hypocrisy on the other side is stunning. It takes my breath away, Mr. Speaker. Jim Jordan, Andy Biggs, Scott Perry, all ignored congressional subpoenas. I go right down the list. Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, former Attorney General William Barr, former Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, all ordered to testify. And what did they do? They ran and hid, following the lead, by the way, of their corrupter-in-chief, Donald Trump, who ignored his own congressional subpoena. It's like a national pastime for Republicans: golf, fishing, and ignoring subpoenas. And now they have the nerve to come down here and lecture anyone about the rule of law. Get lost. Get lost. Get out of here with this nonsense.
But that's what this has all become, a lawless MAGA Republican Party. And you've got Democrats calling them out. Here is another clip from Democratic Congress member Dan Goldman calling this all out. Play the clip.
Now, you can say what you want about the January 6th committee. You can say it was unlawful. Well, federal judges determined it to be lawful. And if your excuse as to why you did not comply is that you did not receive service of the subpoena, it's laughable.
Then AOC lays out the facts here about Clarence Thomas. Play the clip.
The proof is undeniable, and here I will lay it out. Justice Clarence Thomas, for decades now, has carried on a close, financially entangled personal relationship with real estate billionaire Harlan Crow. It is of material importance to the American people to note that Justice Thomas's relationship to the billionaire only began after Thomas's powerful appointment to our nation's highest court. The cash, goods, and services Justice Thomas received over the years include large loan balance cancellations, tuition payments for family, and vacations in private jets and yachts worth up to $500,000 alone. In total, Justice Thomas appears to have received more than $1.5 million worth in goods, cash equivalents, and services from Mr. Crow. And that is just what we know of. But truthfully, we won't ever really know the total sum of contributions Thomas received from Crow. Justice Thomas not only accepted these contributions while Mr. Crow had business in front of the court, but he accepted them in secret, failing for years and years to report them. Yet Thomas did report smaller gifts during this time, demonstrating a clear understanding of his legal obligation to report. Would a reasonable American question that receiving lavish gifts from Mr. Crow might lead Justice Thomas to have a bias towards his, quote, friend with business before the court? Without a doubt, yes. But did Justice Thomas recuse?
Now compare that to what MAGA Republican who's defied subpoenas, Scott Perry, who was involved in the insurrection, had to say. This is MAGA Scott Perry. Play the clip.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentlelady for bringing the resolution to address the other side's claims about subpoenas to members. They're invalid when you get your buddies together, predetermine the outcome, and then have an illegitimate committee, so-called, that doesn't follow and comport with the rules of the House. And oh, by the way, some of the members accused here were never even served those subpoenas. So let's be careful about disparaging our colleagues. Now, on the issue...
Here's MAGA Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Play the clip.
Persecuting former President Donald J. Trump, Merrick Garland's corruption knows no bounds. The DOJ's persecution of Joe Biden's primary political adversary, President Donald J. Trump, is illegal and an actual assault on democracy. Raiding President Trump's home for legally declassifying documents and a transparent violation of justice. Persecuting a declared candidate for President of the United States is nothing short of election interference. In the meantime, Merrick Garland has refused to comply with a lawful congressional subpoena, claiming executive privilege, the same defense argued by Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
30 seconds.
Gentlewoman.
And this is Anna Paulina Luna, who introduced the inherent contempt motion. Play the clip.
Despite what my colleagues may think, this is not a stupid idea, but actually our constitutional duty and is well within the scope of our legislative authority to assert the House's power in this manner.
Another clip here of MAGA Republican Anna Paulina Luna. Let's play this clip.
Another false statement is that a fine cannot be paid with the appropriated money. However, this resolution clearly states that it is personal funds that will be used.
Here's one more clip of Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. Play this clip.
If an American is presented with a lawful subpoena, he or she is expected that they comply or face the consequences of their defiance. Why should the Attorney General of the United States be held to a different standard? No one is above the law.
And then Democratic Congresswoman Clark says, what are we even doing here? Why are you wasting our time with this stuff? Here, play the clip.
Ms. Clark of Massachusetts moves to refer the resolution to the Committee on Rules.
The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized for 1 hour.
Mr. Speaker, we have already taken up way too much of the House's time, of the American people's time. Let's get back to doing the work that they sent us here to do. I yield back.
And by the way, this follows what MAGA Republicans were spending their time doing yesterday, which was talking about washing machines and saying Democrats are trying to take away your dishwashers and your washing machines. This is what they were talking about yesterday. Here, play the clip.
But I do load and unload the dishwasher. And I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, that many times I have opened the dishwasher, loaded properly with the right amount of dishwashing liquid or pod put in, that all the dishes aren't clean. Rinsed off before they were put in to the gentlelady, and had to run it again. And Americans know this.
Democrats going on the offense. You see what the MAGA Republicans are spending their time doing, quite literally trying to rip our institutions to shreds. Day by day, rip our institution to shreds, and frankly, with the complicity of corporate media who aids and abets this crap. Just let's stay knowledgeable here at the MeidasTouch Network. Let's focus on what's happening and how they're trying to destroy our institutions, what the Supreme Court is doing to try to hoist a dictator on us, and someone who says, I'm going to be a dictator on day one. Let's focus on what Project 2025 says, please. Let's talk about how these MAGA Republicans are taking away women's reproductive rights. And even yesterday in the Senate, where Democrats tried to introduce a bill to protect women who can travel from state to state where there are egregious abortion bans in a red state, MAGA Republicans block that. MAGA Republicans blocking IVF treatments. MAGA Republicans blocking the right to contraception. Just facts. Just go and look at it. Google Project 2025. Take a look at what the stakes are here. They're coming for you. And it's not just me. Go look at what their agenda is. It's taking away your freedoms. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.